Okay, for this shot right here, where I'm going to show you, the equipment, I'm going to show you the tools, I'm going to show all the different parts and different things that I carry on the truck. I want to show you that I built what I feel like is the ultimate truck mount setup. And like I said in my other videos, we're going to make one full compilation. When we do, I'd really love to have all your input. So please go down in there and let me know if I missed anything. I really want this to be, like I said, the ultimate truck mount setup where you can do everything just on the fly. All right, that's what means a lot to me. It took me many years to get to this point. Now I know you're probably not going to carry all this in there. You might not even have the room. You might not even have the need for it, but you never know. Something might pop up in the future, or maybe it might jog you to say, hey, you know what? That would be nice to have on my truck. All right, so let's take a look around. First of all, I've got 3 rotaries in here. And basically, I've got the Leo, which is lithium. It's a lithium powered machine, no cords, light soil homes, redos, something of that nature. I'll bring that in there, or just maybe a little small spot jobs, knock it out in a heartbeat. Pro tip, it's always a great idea to go ahead and post bonnet with something like a Leo. Why? It helps the carpets dry faster, stay cleaner longer. Then I've got my rotary, Rotovac 360 back in there. I kind of like that for traffic patterns. Some guys will use a rotary all over the whole house. I basically just like using the rotary just in the traffic patterns, maybe your pivot points, those transition areas coming out of a kitchen, down a hall, front of a sofa, mostly downstairs. Rarely, if ever, am I going to carry a rotary upstairs. The reason I carry a rotary is because I could sit there and wand all day long, but remember, this is doing 360 passes in a minute. You can't do 360 passes with your wand without passing out, right? Okay, so it's really handy to have one of those on the truck. And then I've got the Trinity Odyssey back there, so if I want to go ahead and encapsulate a home using my back-away products, I can knock it out easily, I can knock it out quickly, and it's just got more weight to it. It's going to do a quicker and faster job, even though it's going to have a cord on it. So maybe I'll use this upstairs, and maybe I'll use the other one downstairs. Hey, kind of like dual wanding when you dual wand with your truck mount, right? Pretty nifty. Over here you can see I've got the Smith electric sprayer. What's so cool about the Smith electric sprayer, I believe it's two gallons, is that we've never ever had one problem with them. Not even one since we've been selling them. That's pretty amazing. When other electric sprayers, we all know they have their, their idiosyncrasies, so to speak. But we stand behind everything, of course. And then over here you can see I basically got my coasters. I've got extra pads for my micro mini. I keep some in here, keep a whole extra box back over there. I keep my funnel over here. I've got my brushes for my micro mini. That way I can go ahead, if I want to pre-agitate some stairs, or I want to pre-agitate some furniture, or maybe a spot on a rug. Of course, I've got the softer ones up to the more aggressive ones. So that gives me that flexibility to use it. Another thing I've done too is I've taken, and you notice right in here, I put the names of everything. So I took a labeler and I label everything, whether it's my spotting kit, whether it's my measuring cup, whether it's my wands, my batteries, my little hand sprayers. It's all labeled. It makes it so easy because if something's missing, you can go and get it. This truck will carry 2 employees, so if I want to go out and do a carpet job, I'd have 2 guys with me, and I send them out to get something, they're not sure what it is. So I'm going to the back of the truck, get the Patriot wand, get another lithium battery, get a Smith 2-quart sprayer. Just makes it really simple. Same thing with my pre-sprays. Back in here, you see I've got black label. Each one of my pre-sprays, all my rinses, deodorizers, everything has its place. And I think that's really important to be organized. If you're not organized, you might leave something behind in the house. And I'll tell you what, that's costly, isn't it? All right, now, so we start moving our way back over here. We carry 2 different types of electric sprayers. We carry the multi-sprayer, and then we carry the TMF one. I kind of rotate back and forth. Doesn't really matter to me. I just like the fact that they're red. They're both great units. They both come a long ways. And I carry 2 Patriot wands. I carry an 1.5 inch. I carry a 2-inch. Generally, I carry 2 2-inch wands, but I kind of wanted to test the 1.5 inch. And I tell you what, there's hardly any difference between the two when it comes to dry times. It's very minimal. So if you have smaller hands and you want to go with something like this, there's nothing wrong with that, or you want just a little bit less weight on it. Also, they do come in polish, so I've got that one in polish, where this one's the full red, white, and blue. Then you see I've got my measuring cup. I keep towels up in here. You can see I've got extra lithium batteries. I've got 2 Hydroforce or inline sprayers. The reason I do that is I keep unchained in one of them all the time. So I got one for unchained, then I got one for my pre-sprays. That's pretty nifty. And I keep my gun right up against the wall over there. And then I've got the 2-quart half-gallon sprayers. It's also got a foamer on there, so that's kind of nifty to be able to do that. All right, as you look up a little further there, of course, I keep my measuring tape, and then I've got all my pads and my bonnets that I keep up there for the different machines. As you come back down to the spotter kit here, and I've got a full spotting kit, and I've got all kinds of nifty little things in there. I keep a hose in there where it's been damaged a little bit. I'll just abrade it to show the customer. If the fibers are definitely damaged, I can prove it to the customer. I can do it with the hose, or I can do it with a piece of plastic like this, which is basically just a see-through, as you notice on top of our wands here. It's a sight glass. So I just go ahead and I take and abrade it real good. So I can show the customer if it's abraded, it just doesn't look as bright and shiny anymore. And that's the same thing that happens to your carpets. I keep a water key in there, as you can see. Got a little bone scraper in there. I've also got, which I think is important to have, is, I'm not going to pull that out of there, but that is a carbon monoxide tester. I can just press the button, and then I'll know if there's too much carbon monoxide inside the house. But you always want to park your truck at least, what, 20 or 30 feet from the home, so you don't have that problem. Got a horsehair brush in there. Got a little small handy groomer in here, so that's nifty to have. I've also got something for removing hair, especially on gentle fibers and stuff like that. If it's not a gentle fiber, I'll take something like this and I'll scrape it off of it, but be very careful on your linens, things of that nature. I've got some hand sanitizer. I keep some little scissors in here in case I've got some tufts of fibers or maybe a piece of paint that's just on the tip and I want to cut them off. These are duck-bill. Notice how they go up and then down. So that's nifty so I can get to everything. That's kind of handy. I've got a brush for my velvets. It's good to have. I've also got something if I want to do a tile and grout demonstration. I've got a little brush right here. I can go inside the home, do a little demo, and then I can basically sell the job. Piece of cake, right? And I've got my razor blade up here. And then I've got all my spotters. Oh, by the way, I also keep some extra gloves on one side. On the other side, I'll keep a few of my fresh blocks. Put those between, you know, your grate and your filter and your air conditioning system. Makes it really smell nice. Really helps on those deodorization jobs. I also keep a couple of air filters. I must have air fresheners I'll keep for people. I'll maybe give those away to a customer. It's kind of nifty, just a nice little touch so they can smell it and stuff like that. But I've also got an acid tester in here back in the back, a little bottle of acid tester. I'll use that to go ahead if I've got a problem with, if I want to check, see what kind of fiber it is. I just pull my little acid tester out of there. Here we go, it's way back in here, there we go. Pull my acid tester out of there. We carry those in the TMF store. I've also got another scraper here, as you can see. It's got the sharp end on it, made by Hydroforce. And then this end right here, so I can just nice little scraper to work on gum, different things of that nature. Then when it comes to spotters, on the one side I've got my hot water extraction stuff. I've got my super gel. I've got my rust out. I've got my filtration line soil remover. I've got my leather cleaner and conditioner. And then I've got some kick acid for some tile if I need it. Got some pig out. And then I've got some red action. When you come to the other side over here, you want to come take a look, George, on the other side. You notice for my encapsulation side, I've got some Rabe. I've got some Hell Gel, some Moxie, and then my Red Vanish. And then over here in the corner, I'm going to have a little bit of pig out and even a smaller bottle of some Hell Gel. Was this Hell Gel? But yeah, some Hell Gel. There we go. Go through that pretty good. So there you go. That kind of covers the centerpiece. Now listen, something I was trying to accomplish is I don't want to get up in the truck anymore than I have to. I ain't getting no younger, right? So basically, I want to be able to get what I need, whatever I'm using the most. So my chemistry that I'm using the most, I'm going to have closest to me. Equipment and wands, I've got close to me. The machine I'm going to be using, maybe for pre-agitation or something small or light soil jobs, I got it closest to me. And then I've got my hand sprayers close to me. I got my inline sprayers real nice and close. My spotting clips close. Grab my wands, I can rock and roll. So now as we go across this wall over here, this is where it really gets interesting, George. And you notice I've got this whole wall. Everything here has these little stainless pieces in here, and I've got marked exactly what they are. But notice I've got the things that I use the most, the closest. So I've got my CRB, I've got my vacuum, I got my stair tool, something to pre-agitate my furniture and my stairs, or I can clean it with the micro mini up here. You see the micro mini? So if I want to, I can go ahead and clean my upholstery with that, doing VLM. This is my gun. I got two guns, one for just spraying and cleaning things off. I've got the other gun over here that I can just hook up to any inline, go inside, knock out, first with Unchained, follow up with my pre-spray, okay? And even if I want to add deodorizer, I can put in there if I want to. I keep some gloves on hand to kind of hang them right here. This is my furniture tool of choice, which is the Dry Master. I think all truck mount operators should have one because it's so ergonomic and so easy to use. So I really like the fact how simple it is to use it. Now I know some portable guys, you're going to go through a lot of water because it is a continuous flow tool. So you might want to maybe pick up a Mighty or something like that. But we carry all this inside the store. Then the vacuum cleaner. Now listen, I've got a dinky vacuum cleaner. Why? While I got a machine that's almost 1,000 CFMs, I really don't need as much vacuum as other people need. But I think it's important, the smaller the machines that you have smaller truck mounts, you have a portable, get yourself a stronger vacuum to get all that, all that particulates and stuff like that out of the soil, out of the carpet. That'll make a big difference, helping you clean faster and better. I mean, some guys don't even pre-vacuum, but we try to pre-vacuum at least the downstairs, at least your transition areas. And if they have dog hair, do the whole home. It's just a nice touch. Okay, then I'll get into my tile stuff. I'm gonna step up here. You can stay right there, George, for a second. Step up inside, walk you guys down just a little bit. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention here, I've got a charger here for my Leo, so that's nifty. I've got a steamer back in here for my red stains or any other colors. You might not seem to want to come out. All right, so as I work my way back to truck here, you've noticed I've got a spinner for doing inside of showers, countertops, or if it's not that bad, or just want something that's easier and it's a tighter cramped spot, because this does a great job, probably just almost as good. I've got the Cobra in there. And then I've got my spinner, got my tile spinner, and that's all in place. I've also got a little vacuum head here. If there is some really bad hair and I want to try to work it extra, I'll hook it up to my vacuum cleaner and get that going around. And then up here, of course, I got my safety door so I can put it into position. I've got a little ladder. You probably wonder, hey, Rob, why do you have a ladder on the truck? Well, the reason I keep a little ladder on the truck is when I'm going to put my fresh blocks in an air conditioning system, I want to make sure I have a ladder so that way I can get up to those, to the filtration system where the vents are. The intakes are generally like in the halls, upstairs. Sometimes they're downstairs and they're against the wall. They're easy to access. But the ones upstairs are generally, sometimes they're 8-foot or 10-foot ceilings. You need a little ladder. Hey guys, I was looking for the perfect floor machine. I found it, so I moved my ladder over here, putting it right in there in that spot, and watch for a full video coming soon. And then I've got our stubby stair tool. If I've got a really, really nasty set of stairs, even though I've got my swivel one over there, and there's something I really want to work on, or work on a spot, or maybe I've got some slime in the carpet, this comes in really handy because I can really get the heat up. I can really focus with one jet and really get that stuff out of there. All right. And then I've got an extra little detail tool for furniture. Let's just suppose something happens to my furniture tool. Well, I've got this on hand so I can take care of that. And then I've got my subsurface extraction tool. Everything is in place. If you noticed, I went inside here, bolted everything in, labeled everything, so it's all in place. And then over here, I've got, I guess what you call it, an oversized water key, right? I forgot what you call these things right offhand. Kind of slips my mind. Oh, a water valve key. That's what it basically is, just oversized. So I can get up inside there. If the water's off in the home, I can cut the water on, cut the water back off. I like having that. And then I've got, as you move down just a little bit further, you might need to come in here, George. I don't know if you get a look around a little bit. I don't know how well you can see it. But you notice I've got a CET tool, which is a cordless extraction tool. There's like 3 or 4 different ones on the market. I kind of like the Mighty because the way it's shaped, it gets around furniture. And I love how it's got the big visuals on here, so you can see everything that's coming out of the carpet. That way you can see inside of it. Plus, it's easy to use. It's not heavy weighted, where some of these ones are just too heavy and they'll just fatigue you at a job. But they're all good. There's nothing wrong with any of the CET tools that are out there. Okay, and then I've got several different grooming tools for rakes and stuff like that on hand. I've also got a stainless steel brush here for, you get into those restaurants that have impacted grease. It's really handy to have something like this on hand. All right, so that way you can kind of break up that impact. Then when you get your product, it gets down inside there, suspends the soil, gets it clean. Those restaurants, a lot of times they wait years and years before they'll have their tile and grout cleaned, and that stuff can be really impacted, that grease. So you need something to break that loose. And then of course I've got my drills, I've got my tools. Over here I've got a broom, because it's handy to have a broom And the dustpan on hand when you're cleaning tile, especially stone, last thing you want to do is get a piece of little rock between your spinner or something like that and end up scratching the floor. Then you got to polish the floor. All right, so George, I'm going to need you to come on up here to really get a better view. So come on in. Now, I know some of you guys will maybe have maybe the new Ford Transits or the Dodge ProMaster where they're like 6.5 feet or whatever it is tall, so you can stand up in it. I'm almost 6 foot tall. I'm about 180 pounds. It's just a little tight in here, but I still like it. I like the low height of it. I can get to a lot of tight spots. A lot of upscale homes in our area have a lot of trees, so I'm able to get under it. But there's nothing wrong with having a full box truck, but just be aware of the geography in your area. So like I said earlier, I've got my drills here. You notice I've got my tools. Why do I have all these tools on here? The reason I put all the tools on here is because I want to be able to fix anything on the fly. You know, we are in a constant race against downtime. And last thing you want to do is be out of the job and a little part breaks or something like that, and you have to go all the way back to the shop or go to a shop and get it fixed. So I want everything on the side of the hand so I can take care of it. Now what I did is I ran these little strip magnets on there, and what I noticed I went down the road is some of the tools will fall off when I hit a bump. But when I doubled up on the magnet, I haven't touched it again since. It's so cool, everything stays right in there. So I've got pliers, I've got scissors, I've got vice grips, needle nose pliers, I've got some wire cutters, I've got also sockets. I've got a little socket set that I keep up inside of here. And then I've got some nut drivers. They're cool and handy to have on hand. Some adjustable wrenches. And I've also got some picks in here. You never know if you're going to get to a little something to clean it out. It really helps you pull hair and thread and stuff out. Then I've got some screwdrivers. I've got a heater down in here. Notice down in here, the heater's built in. There's 2 outlets back in the back. There's another heater. There's actually 2 heaters in the truck, which is nifty. So I can plug it in from outside, and you've got to come inside. Keeps this thing nice and snug and warm, plus it's insulated in here. Then I've got a full water softener set up. Up here as you move a little higher, you can see I've got my open end wrenches. I ran metric on one side and I ran standard on the other side. On one end it's open end, and on the other end is socket based. So that's pretty nifty to have. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, so they hung up here and they stay here. And I'm telling you, everything stays right in place. And you notice I got all my sockets up here. Then below here, I've got a turbo blaster wand. Sometimes you get into like doing some commercial jobs. Sometimes we'll go out and do a couple of apartments or maybe a couple of hotels. And when we do, getting inside the bathrooms, you want to knock them out, knock them quick. You can't get the spinner around the toilet and the tight spots in there. Where this has a swivel head on it, and it'll knock out these little small jobs in a heartbeat. So I really like having that. Then I've got a microfiber mop back here, which I keep on hand. I keep an extra inline sprayer back here, but what I use that mostly for is pest control. And I'm actually sitting on a pest control box, which is locked. A lot of people don't realize it, but I'm licensed with the EPA and the State of Agriculture to apply pesticides. I've owned the pest control company for at least 20, 25 years. So if you have any questions about pest control, I can help you in that aspect also. And then as we move over here, you can see I just keep an extra grooming brush on hand. I've got a level. I've got an extra head, squeegee head for this right here, in case I want to use a squeegee head. But most of the times, I'm using the brush head. But you never know if I've got a house that I'm going to go in there and do some LBT, some LBP, and I want to make sure I get the wax off the floor, where I can use this right here. But just make sure that your truck mount is compatible. And if it's not, get yourself a little wet and dry vac to get up that slurry and stuff. But if I'm doing some polishing of stone, boom, I'm good to go. Pull all that slurry right out of there. And then I keep a hammer. I also keep this here to go ahead and remove the toilet, you know, your clean out caps. Sometimes they're a little tight, you can't get them loose. So there's a little driver right there for there. And then I've got a needle, a large needle over there, horse hypodermic needle. And that way, if I'm dealing with a mattress, or I'm dealing with a sofa, or want to get up under a carpet to a certain spot, I can inject my Unchained or my Eco Sides down in there and knock those out. And of course, I've got a flashlight, and I keep some jumper cables on hand. Now, I'll flip around here. George, you might not be able to see this, but I keep a large air mover back here. See the large one back here? And everything's marked. Bucket and broom, large fan, softener, tools. Everything's marked. You come back around here, you can see I got 2 fans back here. I keep my floor protectors up in here. And so I can come from this direction, where there's a little step up on the other side. So if I want to deal with my 2 different products, of course, I'm keeping my acid rinses and I'm keeping my alkaline rinses over here. I can flip the hose back and forth, like I said in the earlier video. I can just do that on the fly. I can also keep an extra couple of hooks right here in case I want to add something to the walls. You got to admit, I'm pretty doggone full, right? Okay, so the last thing back in here to look at, I don't know if you want to pan on this just a little bit, George. Maybe hand me the camera. I'll give it right back to you. I'm going to pan this, guys, so you just kind of get a little look around at it. See back in here, I got these little cases back in here. And what I'm doing in these cases here is if I run into a situation, suppose I got a jet that fails on me. I keep extra jets in here. I keep Teflon tape. And all these are compartmentalized. They're all marked. Over here, I've got quick disconnects. You know, we all know sometimes quick disconnects might fail. Sometimes a little rubber seal goes bad inside. There's a little rubber seal in there. And the rubber seal goes bad. You don't get as much pressure, or you lose pressure or something of that nature. And then I've got some extra ball valves, extra quick disconnects. And then on the other side up here, I got cuffs, different sizes, different shapes. Then I've got water rings, you know, water adapters. So if I got to get up and there's no faucet on the outside and I need something to be able to hook up to a sink or something unusual, I got all my water adapters. Over here, sometimes inline sprayers do fail. So I'll keep an extra little sprayer, a little meter on there. So I've got the meter and I can just replace this head right on there, go right back to work. All right. But it's really important. Listen, just make sure you mix your stuff up well, mix it up warm. And I usually take out the yellow in there. So I'm operating at 4-to-1 and not operating 8-to-1. These are cleanable. They are rebuildable, but I ain't going to clean them. And I'm not going to rebuild them out on the job. Okay. It's just too much work, right? Okay. Then over here, I've got a CFM meter so I can test my CFM. If I feel like my machine, with this monster blower here, I mean, this blower weighs more than some truck mounts. It's craziness, right? And you see the type of hose on it. But if I feel like I'm losing some vacuum for some reason, at least I can test it. So I like having that flexibility. I've got a little drill set in here. And then over here, I can go ahead and test my water pressure. I got one for testing the temperature, make sure my machine's outputting temperature properly. Even though now these are built onto the wand, I can use it with my towel tool, even though our new towel tools now have a temperature gauge on it. Then over here, I've got a lift meter, so I can test my lift to make sure my lift is accurate. Then back over here, if I'm going to be going out doing some water damage, I can go ahead and test for any moisture damage inside the carpets, inside the walls. Sometimes customers lie. Might not tell you the truth, right? So you want to get down there and see if they've had a flood or something like that. You want to go ahead and take care of it properly. I've got a pH tester in here. I've got all kinds of little meters in here you can think about. I've got non-penetrating, penetrating, then a little small wet check is nifty to have on hand. Then just get back here. I got a carpet shaver. I keep the little tools on there. You can shave off. This is for rugs. It comes with a little plate. So I got a little baggie right behind there. That little plate keeps it in place. So that way, as I go across, it keeps it nice and level. So if there's some damaged tufts on a wool rug, I can go ahead and level that for them. That looks pretty cool. Great job. And then back in here, a little further, you can see I've got one of these little shavers right here. And this is where you get into furniture and you have some furniture with all those little beads on there. I'll tell you what, this will go right across it, shave them right off there, and you look like a hero to the customer. All right, let's see. Last but not least, back in here, I've got a stone test kit so I can test the brightness, the shine on the floor. I can also test the hardness. It's also got some acid in there. I could double check what you do in an inconspicuous spot to make sure that it's stone and not man-made fibers. And then back in here, I keep a little extra deodorizer samples that I'm working on, or different little products that I'm working on, mostly deodorizers. And then I've got this little wood and wall touch-up, because sometimes, no matter how careful you are, you might scratch the wall, you might scratch the floor, and if you don't have time to fix it, or it's just very minor, you just kind of fill it in there. It's kind of a cheat code, but it depends on the situation. Every situation is different. And then, of course, like I said, I've got my floor protection up here, and that really kind of basically covers everything. And like I said, even though I have to bend over a little bit, I'm not back in here as often. These are things I'm not using as much. But boy, it's handy to have on hand. Now, like I said, I got my pest control box, which I keep back in here. Okay, up in here now, I've got a whole section over here for deodorization or bad odors are left inside of a home or a commercial building. And I've got different stages and levels. And as you move down, it gets stronger and stronger. I've got a dry vapor machine. I've got a smoker. I've got a fogger. And then I've got an ozone / hydroxyl generator. So it does both. You can use one or the other depending on whether the home is occupied or not. So I've got everything covered here. There's no odor that can stand up to this TMF truck. Okay, so you notice a little bit tight, especially if you're carrying a tank like this. Now, most guys who are using this machine are not using a 200, 250 gallon waste tank, all right? But the cool thing about this, with almost 200 gallons of fresh water, 200 some gallons of dirty water, I can go all day long and never have to dump, never have to fill up if it's not necessary. So I have to kind of duck a little bit. So it's not bad. It's got some handles here. I can grab a holder, get in and out, but that's the whole thing right here. So I hope you really enjoyed this. Remember, anything you think I missed, anything you'd like to see in the ultimate truck mount, please go down inside the comments, let me know. And also make sure that you take the time, subscribe, ring that bell. What's the other things, George? Tell me.
You gotta like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell.
George's working on me on that. Like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell. Well, I'll tell you what that does, and the reason George is impressing it upon me and my son, what it does, it helps alert you when there's new videos, and it also helps us move up the ranks in the algorithm so more people can benefit from it. So it just helps us, helps you. And remember, I'm a big believer in the law of reciprocity. I believe if I help you become successful, you'll help me become successful, and obviously, I'm living proof of it. I'm Rob Allen with TruckMountForums. Hope you enjoyed this walk around. Remember, watch out for the full video that's going to be coming, but the other video will be on the chemistry, so watch for that too.